There's too much confusion. I can't get no relief.
Thanks for joining us today on the Dan Cofall Show. Very, very nice to have you on. We've got a great show today, including our next guest. By the way, our phone number is 877-326-3255, and the website is dancofall.com. And you can listen to us on TalkStream Live 24 hours a day, replay of the show. And you can also listen to us via phone at 716-748-0729. You go to the website, and all those numbers are out there for you. So we hope that you do head out there to the website or to TalkStream Live and pick us up. My next guest, I love talking with Gerald. He winds my stem every time we chat, and he makes me think about things that I generally don't think about in every conversation, and I can say that about so few people in this world. Gerald Celente is our guest. He is the president of TrendsResearchInstitute. He's an American trends forecaster, business consultant, and author, and he talks about the global financial markets and other events, including Singularity, which we're going to get to here in just a minute. And he's been an advisor to I think just about every news station in the country, and he's our friend, and it's great to have you on. Hi, Gerald.
Hello, Dan. Thank you. It's very kind of you.
Well, I'd like to give you more time, but I don't want to on the intro. But I don't want to cut you off of your content, my friend. Let's go to the 2015 forecast at your conference, December 6, 2014. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's get a plug in for that first.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to be launching our top trends of 2015 at our conference here in Colonial Kingston, and it's the only place, by the way, in the country where there's pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings on each corner. And we have three of them, including the 1774 Academy, where many of the greats went to school in the old day. And that's where we have the conference, and of course it's a full-day event, and we use our other buildings as well. So we're going to be launching what we see to be the top trends of 2015, and it'll be a heads-up to everyone that attends.
I'm looking at a picture of you in the window. I'm assuming those are your buildings, and you're in one of your buildings in that window in the magazine, right?
Yes, that's those three of those are ours. Yeah,
just beautiful.
One is one's 1774, another is 1763, the other is 1750, and the one that's 1661, that's a county museum.
Just gorgeous. I love places like that. I hope people attend. Where do you want them to go to sign up for this, Gerald?
They could go to our website, the TrendsJournal website, which is TrendsJournal.com, which of course is our magazine, our quarterly, and we do a monthly too, a Trends Monthly. So TrendsJournal.com. Just go to conference, and I have to say, it's right now it's only open up for subscribers,
right?
And we're almost full. So if anybody wants to. We're limiting it, so anybody that wants to attend, I suggest they consider doing it right away.
I think that would be. I would love to go to the event. It depends on how much time I have available. This would be great. And I'm not asking you to take anything away from the event or any surprise or any content, but can you give us some idea of what you're looking at in 2015?
Yeah, well, if you do go to our site, actually, and go to the conference, and there's a videotape of Stanley and June Blum. We do more than just economics. Our global nomics system of trend forecasting will look at over 300 different trend categories. And it's about where the future is going, how to prepare for it, and profit from it. Anyway, they're 95 years old. There's a video of them. Stanley just wrote his fourth book, and it's beautiful, and he became an artist. He began painting at 80. And June, who's a psychologist, has a great line. We're skipping old age. And they live it, they show it. They were at our last conference just 3 weeks ago, and they were among the last to leave, because then we have a big reception afterwards. We have band and the whole thing. And they were dancing together. And so the point being is that the baby boomers are aging. It's an agequake. Are you going to be prepared for this agequake? Are you going to retire, or are you going to keep living? Are you going to be producing, or are you going to be doing nothing and going down? So one of the big trends we're going to be looking at, that's the kind of thing. On the agequake, what they're going to be looking for, how to stay healthy, and the other trends, of course, in economics, geopolitics, alternative energy. There's going to be a big one in that. And that's going to be very big because what you're seeing, what's going on with energy prices. So this could make them even look a lot worse.
Gerald, how do you reconcile the fact that it looks like science is going to allow people to live longer and better lives, but then you compare that to Obamacare, you compare that to the ability of this country to continue to be the senior financial power in the world, and you look at so many people out there right now, eugenicists, that want to reduce the population of this world from, say, 7 billion down to maybe 500 million. There are absolutely two camps. One that want fewer people, worse lives, shorter lives, so you're no longer burdened on the government. And then you have other people that's saying, look at these wonderful advances that are coming, live longer, live happier, live wealthier. How do you reconcile those two?
Well, one of the things, you have the TrendsJournal, you see the cover, and it's Occupy Peace. And on May 2nd, we're launching the Occupy Peace rally from those four corners. The mayor, Shane Gallo, has given us permission to close down the streets.
Right.
And he came up with a great line: build communities, not nations. How do you reconcile it? You start going back to what the Founding Fathers envisioned for this nation, as I see it. And you know our motto, think for yourself. So I'm just saying the way we see it is to honor thy Founding Fathers. And each one of them was no foreign entanglements, beginning with Washington. A real man. Not one of these little chicken hawks that shoot their mouth off and couldn't fight. They wear a paper bag. And if you think I'm kidding, all you have to do is look at that last video of David Cameron over there when a jogger went running into him. I'm a close combat practitioner. That cat was dead, man. If that jogger was a killer, he's right on top of him, and Cameron's backing up. He can't even protect himself. One hand's down behind his side, his other hand's barely up. So Washington, a real man that fought, that led the revolution, no foreign entanglements. There were wars going on back then, Dan. The world was at war as it's been forever. But they were wise enough to put their resources in our nation. So how do we reconcile it? We rebuild America. And this rally is not going to be one of those rallies where people yell and scream and rah, rah, rah. I'd rather fight for peace than die for war. So we're going to bring a battle plan for peace. And we're going to have takeaways. This is what you do in each state. And this is how, for example, one of the things we're working on with a number of attorneys is to get on the ballot in each state that if Washington either votes to give money to another country, votes to get us in an entanglement, as they did with Iraq and others, we, the people of that state, will vote and tell our senators and congressmen what to do.
All right, let me go back to this one issue of how we power through this. Let's even say we put the right people in the right spot. Are we then going to regulate away the eugenicists and regulate away the art of, or the act of singularity, merger of man and machine? Because it seems like technology would put a general cap on people's longevity and the quality of their life. It doesn't seem like technology is going to support that the way technology is being used right now. How do we put boundaries around technology?
Well, you don't. But the way you do it is we see it again. People ask me, what can I do? I say, when people have the courage, dignity, respect, and integrity and passion, then everything changes.
Right.
So what we're going to do by rebuilding America is, with peace comes prosperity. And one of the things we're doing with this is going to have a lot of dimensions. To me, and if you ever came to our offices, I hope you do someday.
Thank you.
There's art everywhere. And to me, beauty is the antidote to fear. Look what this nation has become. Beauty is gone. Beauty's gone into construction. Look at the ugly junk they put up that they call buildings. Look at how the people dress. Look at how the people look. So the whole thing is a whole psychological change, and that is to restore morality. It all goes back to the individual, and we believe that we can begin doing this by when you start giving people a purpose again. And it goes back to the Stanley Blum and June Blum. 95 years old. They live in Rhinebeck, about 30 minutes from here. They drive to our place. 95. I went out with them the other night. We left at 11 o'clock. I drove them home, but they're out. They're living. And when people start living like this country used to live, at a high level of quality, when we were the envy of the world, I think the trends that you're talking about will reverse themselves as people regain the courage within them.
And we still got the idea of the corporate world versus the well-being of the average person, because you've got the idea of humanoids versus jobs. You've got technology that is going to systematically reduce the number of jobs out there. There can be no other purpose for these robots and these humanoids. We're seeing it right now. Places like Lowe's, places like Nestle, they're using robots, humanoids, to take orders and interact with people. That's a very small first step, but the steps after that multiply very quickly. So if let me wrap a couple things into one big sentence here. If we're opening our borders and bringing people into this country that don't have that have minimal nominal skills, so we're bringing in plenty of low-wage people, and we're mixing that with humanoids, and we're heading towards singularity. Put the best people in office that you can think of, and it's such a culture change. I don't know how we get there.
Well, again, let's take the issue with the people coming over the border. In Occupy Peace, it's bring home the troops, rebuild America, seal the borders, self-defense to the fullest extent. We're closing it up. And one of the stories you asked me about the top trends. One of them, right. We're working on the title, but it's going to be The Walking Dead. How people have become those technological robots that you said. I watch people walk down the street. They're either on their phones, they either have earplugs in, they're either texting, eating, or drinking out of these 32-ounce Slurpee cups, whatever they are. It's the revenge of the geeks. The people that were the most antisocial in school, that never hung around with anybody. They were the ones that it wasn't like you didn't like them. They didn't just fit in. They created the perfect antisocial world, when you think about it.
So will it come from the top down or the bottom up?
No, it has to come from the bottom up.
Okay. So it comes from people like you and me and our families and our communities, and we are going to have to make value judgments, which over the past decade or two or three or four, we have learned to give those decisions over to an omnipotent government. So what we've really got to do is to learn to take the decision-making process back into our families and our communities and our cities and our states.
Bingo. Again, it goes back to what Shane Gallo said: rebuild communities, don't build nations. And as I was saying as well, that Occupy Peace this is a We the People movement. No, we're in charge. You represent us. Get this in your head. You don't represent only the people that give you all the money to run for office. So we take charge. We the people. We bring the government. And again, the seeds of democracy was sown here. I'm not just throwing those lines out. I'm looking right now at the courthouse where John Jay was a juror and 3 other Supreme Court justices. 90% of this was the first capital of New York State. The Constitution that was written in that location, 90% of the American Constitution came from it. So what we're doing is we're restoring America. Forget the Silicon Valley or the con men in chief that we got now and the others running us. We'll tell them what to do.
Will we be able to do this peacefully, Gerald?
Again, as I say, I will fight for peace rather than die for war. It has to be peace. And again, I'm a fighter. I don't back down from a fight. But this doesn't have to be a bloody one. If it is, everybody loses. It has to be peaceful, an intellectual, moral, and spiritual. And I don't mean spiritual, with whatever, I mean spiritual at a much inner moral level.
How do we drive a wedge between K Street and politicians, between money and politics? How do we do that?
It's going to be a process. And again, by the way, I began my career running political campaigns in Westchester County, which was the richest county in the country. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate.
Right.
I was one of the chief